Once upon a time, deep in a vast northern forest where the pine trees grew tall and the winters came hard and early, there lived a young gray wolf named Flint. He was very fast and has bright eyes, and more than anything else in the world, he wanted to belong. He wanted a place in the forest that was truly his. He wanted to be wanted. But wanting something very badly and knowing how to find it are two very different things. Every morning, Flint woke before the sun and raced through the trees looking for company. He found the red foxes first, curled near a fallen log, and dropped himself right in the middle of them without being asked. They shifted away. He followed. They moved again. He howled to make them laugh. They scattered into the undergrowth and did not come back. So he ran to the deer. He bounded up behind a small herd grazing near the stream, tail wagging, tongue out, ready to be welcomed. The deer froze. Their ears went flat, their eyes went wide, and in one quiet second, they were gone, hooves silent on the snow. He tried the owls in the tall pines. He tried the rabbits near the frozen pond. He tried the ravens who gathered on the ridge each afternoon. Every time, the result was the same: a flinch, a retreat, silence where there had been warmth. Flint could not understand it. He was not cruel. He meant no harm. He simply wanted to be near someone. But the harder he tried, the emptier the forest around him became. One bitter evening, after the longest and loneliest day he could remember, Flint dragged himself to the edge of the great frozen lake at the heart of the forest. The sky was dark purple. The ice cracked softly beneath the cold. He sat down and put his nose between his paws and felt something he had never quite let himself feel before. He felt ashamed, not of what he was, but of how lost he was, of how many times he had run toward something and watched it run away. It was then that he noticed the old elk. Cedar stood at the far edge of the lake, perfectly still, as though he had grown there like the trees around him. He was enormous and white-muzzled and very old, and he was not alone. Two small birds sat on the broad shelf of his antlers, perfectly at ease. A young rabbit was curled sleeping at his front hooves. A fox sat 3 feet to his left, watching the ice, calm as a stone. None of them had been called. None of them looked as though they needed to be anywhere else. Flint watched for a long time. Then he walked over carefully, slowly, the way he had never thought to walk before. Cedar turned one large dark eye toward him, but did not move. "How?" Flint asked. It was all he could say, just that one word. Cedar was quiet for a moment. The lake ice ticked and sighed beneath them. "How do you do it?" Flint pressed. "They all come to you. Nobody runs, nobody leaves. How do you make them stay?" Cedar looked back at the lake. "I do not make them do anything," he said simply. "I never have." "Then why do they come?" The old elk considered this the way a deep river considers a stone, slowly, without hurry. "Because I am useful to this forest," he said at last. "I know where the water runs warm beneath the ice. I know which roots hold through the hard months. I have learned this place, truly learned it over many long years. I am not here asking the forest to give me something. I am here giving something to it. And those who need what I have learned, they find me. I never had to find them." Flint was quiet. He thought about every morning he had spent running, every circle he had pushed himself into, every animal that had pulled away. He had been so busy asking the forest to include him that he had never once thought to ask what he could give it. He went home that night and did not sleep for a long time. The next morning, he did not run to find anyone. Instead, he walked slowly through the trees and used his nose the way he had never used it before, not to find company, but to find things. He tracked the scent of water beneath the snow and found a spring the smaller animals could not have discovered alone. He memorized which paths stayed clear through the deep drifts. He learned the places where the wind dropped and the cold was gentler. He began to know the forest the way cedar knew it, quietly, patiently, for its own sake. He told nobody, he simply did it. Weeks passed, the cold deepened, and then one gray morning, a young rabbit appeared at the edge of his path. It sat watching him with dark, careful eyes. Flint did not move toward it, he did not howl, he did not try to make it stay. He simply continued on his way. The rabbit followed. The next day, 2 ravens landed in the pine above the spring Flint had found and called softly to each other. A deer appeared at the tree line, watching. A fox came and drank. Flint sat nearby, still and quiet and warm. Nobody ran. He looked up through the branches at the pale winter sky and let out one long, soft breath. He had stopped asking to be let in, and somewhere along the way, without even noticing, the forest had simply opened around him. Perhaps you have known that feeling, running toward people, toward places, toward belonging, and watching it slip away the faster you chase it. Flint's story is your story too. When we stop asking the world to choose us and start quietly building something worth choosing, everything changes. You do not have to be louder or faster or more. You only have to be genuinely, deeply, usefully yourself. The rest will come. The moral of this tale: stop running toward others and start building something within yourself that others will naturally run toward. If this story moved you, it is worth sharing. Subscribe to Morals and Tales for new wisdom stories every Monday and Thursday. What did this story awaken in you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Until the next tale.